Last video lesson on these hands-on equations problems. We have this 4x minus 2 times the opposite of x plus a negative 2 equaling 2 times the opposite of x minus 10. So I'm going to set that up. 4x. I've got the magic pen on. So I got 4x's. Whoops. 1, 2, 3, 4 x's. And I'm supposed to subtract 2 of the opposite of x's. Well, the only way I can get 2 of these opposite of x's is if I have 2 x's to go with it and I add zeros to this thing. That's the only way I can get those on there to say, okay, I'm taking away these 2. I'm removing them. That's the only. Notice what happened when I did that. It actually added 2 to the problem. And then on the other side, I've got 2 of those again. And I have a minus 10, which is a negative 10. Okay, so that's our problem that we start with algebraically, or using the symbols. Look what happened. When we did this part right here, and we subtracted 2 of the opposite of x's, we actually added. Now, I heard Olivia say the other day in class when somebody was looking at that problem, well, if you're subtracting, you can add a line, change the sign. So this really says I got 4x plus 2x plus a negative 2. Well, that is 6x plus a negative 2. On the other side, because of the parentheses, I can just move that negative all the way out in front, because that's what we did on the last problem, and still make that a negative 10. I'm going to make that a negative 10. So I have 6x plus a negative 2, and I've got a negative 2x plus a negative 10. And I want to solve this problem. I'm not even going to use the symbols anymore for this one. Because what would I do? If I want to get rid of the negative 2x's, I would add 2x's on this side and add 2x's on the other side. So I'm going to add 2x's to this side, and I'm going to add 2x's to that side, and I'm going to put in my horizontal line. Now I have a total of 8x's on this side, and that negative 2, and that's the other side, the x's cancel off. I'm left with the negative 10. I'm going to leave it in parentheses. Now, I want to get rid of the 2 so I can reduce this down. Well, I'm going to do the opposite. If I had the negative 2 there, I would bring in a red 2 to go with this so they would cancel off. Well, that means I want to add a positive 2 to both sides. Now I have 8x equals, well, negative 10 plus 2 is a negative 8. Well, now, if we had this with our other problem, we would have switched things around and tried to figure out a way we would have had stars instead of x's. Well, I'm just going to go ahead and use the method that we were doing on the last 3 problems, and I'm going to divide by 8, which is that x must be a negative 1. So my x is a negative 1, which means the opposite of x is a positive 1. So once again, I'm going to check to see if my answer is correct. I'm going to plug these numbers in to my function. I've got 4 x's minus 2 negative x's, and I'm going to add negative 2 to that. On the other side, I'm going to take 2 times the negative x, or the opposite of x, minus 10. Remember, this is called opposite of x. So 4 times a negative 1 is a negative 4. Minus 2 times 1 is 2, adding a negative 2 to that. On the other side, 2 times 1 is 2, and I'm subtracting 10 from that, just like it says in the problem. Now, add a line, change the sign. I got a negative 4 plus a negative 2, which gives me negative 6, plus another negative 2, which gives me negative 8. 2 minus 10 is 2 plus a negative 10. Add a line, change the sign. Opposite sign, I'm going to subtract. 10 minus 2 is 8. Keep the sign of the, I get negative 8. That works out. So x is negative 1, and the opposite of x is a positive 1. But then when we get into algebra, the real algebra, they're going to be more concerned that x is a negative 1. That's what we're trying to get to here. It's doing the same things. When we were taking an x away from both sides, that's the same as if I was adding these 2 x's. Or when I took away when I added a star to both sides, that's taking away of something. Whatever you do to one side, you have to do to the other. So that completes your lesson. You will be required to, on your Lesson 26 worksheet, to actually work through these problems using the algebra notation. I expect to see the algebra and the picture. I want to see both combinations. I didn't do it here on D, but on the others you should. I only have one sheet of paper for you for that. You're going to have to supplement that with some of your own worksheets or some of my other scratch paper. Okay, you can do it.